Thanks to the support as a channel member, Martin Cooper. Well, normally I get all excited about the fun we're going to have during a transfer window, but I suspect this video is going to be all about me disassembling that lovely team that has just won the double and seeing what we've got left to take on League Two in this coming season. And welcome to part 7 of Saving Man City. I'm Kevin. Coming up on this episode, it is our season review and transfer special. Transfer special with a big asterisk next to it. We're 1 year into a 3-year transfer embargo, so there's going to be nobody coming in unless I can figure out how this one in, one out thing works and maybe bring in a free transfer here and there. But in all likelihood, there's just going to be a lot of players leaving and then a lot of youth players being promoted to take their place. But before we get sad about players leaving, let's have a look at the season we've just had, because it was a great one. We've got, I don't know why these are showing us transfers out, not because we had no transfers in, of course. So that page is irrelevant. There is your confirmation that we did win promotion whilst maxing out attendance pretty much at Gig Lane while we did it. Obviously, we're not going to be in a position to get our own ground anytime soon because of the finances, but it's pretty clear we need a bigger home than Gig Lane. The City of Manchester Stadium, the newly renamed City of Manchester Stadium, does still exist in the database. It will be interesting if we're able to move back there at some point. I don't know if that's even a thing you can do, but there is a big stadium sat unused in Manchester that we could theoretically move to. No idea. But that was the season we had. There's lots of big wins, as you, I'm sure, can remember. Finance-wise, yeah, I mean, sponsorships were high, but that's why we had so much debt, to balance out the high sponsorships that we weren't able to remove. Everything else is far lower than it's ever been at Manchester City before. A few people question the club reputation. There's your confirmation. I think I've shown it in a video previously. There's your confirmation that we have massively reduced the club reputation as part of this save. So we are only a 2.5-star reputation team. It'll be interesting to see how quickly that recovers. And they are our top 5 players for shirt sales. And I wouldn't be at all surprised if all 5 of them got sold this summer. This is our team of the year. Still has Cole Palmer in, who in the end, it looks like he played 16 times for West Ham with a 6.65. Not really representative of how well he played for us. And the rest of that team is the team that pretty much we played throughout the entire season. And then accolades-wise, obviously we won all of the awards. Liam Delap winning lots of them, setting club records for most goals in a season. James McAtee set a club record for most assists in a season. There's a lot of records that are probably not going to be broken anytime soon or ever. Even this one, the £60 million fee we received for Phil Foden, is not likely that we're going to be selling a player for £60 million again anytime soon. So let's just have a little flick through all of the... There you go. We've gained a few new social media followers. That's nice. They love us. The board are looking for me to once again win automatic promotion. But they also want me to repair the club's financial damage, which, as you can imagine, I am struggling to do. So we'll continue trying to work with the players that we've got and obviously sell the ones that we can sell. And it looks like the 5-year plan is to get to the point where we're pushing for promotion to the Championship. I'd like to think within 5 years we're pushing for promotion into the Premier League, not into the Championship, but the board clearly have other ideas, and they are our team leaders. And again, wouldn't be at all surprised if all 4 of them were to leave this summer. What we're not going to do is sell anybody cheaply. We want to get promoted as champions again. I think we're good enough to do that. We're not going to sell anybody cheaply. I don't expect to be letting anybody go for like £1 million unless they're players we were never going to use or players who were kind of digging their heels in and forcing their way out. The ones that we're going to be letting go are the ones that I feel like can make a difference to the club finances. We currently sit at negative £13 million thanks to a little bit of a cash injection from the owners, which I don't worry too much about the cash injections making things too easy. On all the times we've run through this save as a holidayed practice, they do stop. There's no way to stop them happening altogether, but they certainly don't balance the books. They run out of money eventually, and obviously it's the reason we've made these debts as large as we have setting the database up, because this seemed to be the sweet spot for making sure that for the first 10 years of the save, the club always struggled with money. Setting this any lower, those cash injections still came in and just cleared the... There's logic to it. And the important thing is we're looking at this at the end of next season, we're projected to have negative £223 million. That, I feel like, will lead to administration. Administration leads to points deductions, and that will never do. So we need to, as much as possible, try and negate that, and that's where player sales come in. If we look at who our most valuable players are, Tommy Doyle, Liam Delap, Rico Lewis, James McAtee, all of them up for sale. Sarmiento we need to sell because whenever we play him, we have to spend money on him, so we can't play him, so he definitely has to leave. And then the next wave, again, all these players who are valued at like £5 million plus, or certainly anyone earning anywhere near 20 grand a week, Morgan Rogers, Clive Aguilar, they're earning too much money. We need to bin these boys off. So I guess I'm going to start offering some players out for transfer, see what bites we get, and then see what we're left with afterwards. We do have another generation of young players ready to come through. So I guess depending on who we sell, some or all of these will make their step up to the first team squad. There's plenty of them. So I don't know why it's done that. I'm not alarmed just yet. We have plenty of players, but I suspect the players that we've got are likely to be of a lower standard this coming year than the year we've just had, which is usually the opposite of what you try to do when you get promoted. Oh, and good. Our youth category has dropped as well. From a category 1 to a category 3. I've never seen it drop 2 before. So next year's youth intake will be even worse than the one we've just had. Goody gumdrops. See, we now have a double problem with Sarmiento. Norwich offered us £8 million for him. So that's £8 million into the kitty and a £15,000 a week salary off the books, and getting rid of a player who we can't use because every 10 games he plays, we have to spend £1 million on him. So he is just literally a waste of space for the next 3 years, who's costing us money. But he couldn't get a work permit to go to Norwich, so they're not going to sign him. We need to send him back to Argentina, I guess, but there's not going to be any Argentinian clubs in a position to spend £8 million on him, you would think. So we're kind of stuck at the point where we might just have to cut our losses on him. And despite him being a player who there are teams willing to spend £8 to £10 million on, we might have to just let him go for free or keep him around and not use him for 3 years whilst paying him. Neither of them seem like good options to me. Take a good look at that bank balance, boys and girls. It's not going to be that high ever again. We've just received a £30 million Premier League parachute payment, which I wasn't expecting to get, but that's handy. Thank you, Premier League. You might have ruined everything else about the club, but you're still looking after us and making sure that we're doing all right. Look at the lovely moustache that our chairman's got as well. Lovely stuff. We have obviously sold a couple of players to get to that point. We've also sold a lot of transfer clauses. There was like 15 transfer clauses that we've sold, and we've sold arguably two of our best players from last year. Taylor Harwood-Bellis has gone to Blackburn for £12 million, and James McAtee has gone to Leeds for £11 million. So those two are the first out the door. I'm sure they're going to be the first of many out of the door this summer. You can see that the projection is still showing us at minus 129 million by the end of the season, which is not where we need to be. We also, now we're back in the Football League, have FFP to deal with. So the FFP rules in League 2, we have to keep player wage expenditure below £2.5 million per week. I think we'll manage that. The club are currently spending £53,000 per week on player wages. Yeah, I think we're fine because it doesn't count under 21 homegrown players. So the only thing we have to do, I mean, yeah, that wage cap we don't need to worry about that at all, do we? It says at the bottom about our current sanctions. We've got our current transfer embargo for 2 more years. Players may be signed on a free transfer up to a maximum of £10,000 per week. So we can bring in free transfers because of the 1 in, 1 out thing and the fact that most of these players are still under 21. So I don't know that we will, because I don't know that we need to, but the option is there for us to bring in some free transfers. But really at the moment, my goal is to still try and get rid of the higher earning players and also cash in on the higher value players. We did have an offer accepted for Oscar Bob from Reading. Same problem we had with Sarmiento and Norwich, though. He accepted terms and then didn't get a work permit. So I think we're just going to get to the point where we're going to hit January the 1st and Sarmiento and Bob are not going to be able to play for us either. And I guess at that point, if no one will buy them, we just have to loan them out and hope that someone's going to cover their salaries, because they are useless to us. But yeah, we're currently down to a squad of 24 players. I am keeping an eye on the dev center to see who we're going to bring up. There's quite a few players who are probably on the cusp of being brought up into the first team squad. I don't need to move them yet, but we are going to continue offering players out and trying to cash in on them. So Tommy Doyle, there's interest in Tommy Doyle. Let's offer him out. I'm not going to offer Delap out at the moment because no one wants him. Sarmiento will always push because we want rid of him. And then we're just really looking for the players who've got interest in them, because we're more likely, my theory is we're more likely to get a good fee for players that are wanted by other clubs rather than us sort of touting them out. See, Morgan Rogers is a difficult one. He's the highest paid player at the club now, £25,000 a week, but his value is only £2.5 million. In fact, is it? Have we set it at that? Yeah, I mean, it's such a low... We'll offer him out because £25,000 a week is a lot of money. But I'll be disappointed only getting £2.5 million for him because he's such an important player for us. I've lost where I was on here now. We've offered a few... Oscar Bob is the other one we need to offer out. We've offered a few more players out. We'll keep doing that. And then as and when we need to, obviously, we'll move players up into the first team. So here we go. We've got offers for... Which Doyle is this? Tommy Doyle, the midfielder. So Werder Bremen with an £11.25 million deal. Looks like it's the best one. It is the best one. So we should be able to just say... But even that, though, it's the best one. But actually, it's not enough. I'm going to turn these down and see what happens. We've still got the rest of summer to try and get shot of him. And then Callum Doyle, a more reasonable offer from Southampton. If we can get them up to, let's say, 10 million, I think 10 million will be happy. They don't want to do 10 million. Okay, 9.25 million. 9.25 million with a 30% sell on. Yeah, we'll do that. Everyone's for sale. Get gone. And here's the Tommy Doyle problem. Oh, a loan back. See, that's perfect. Yes, we'll accept a loan back. Of course we'll accept a loan back. But Tommy Doyle wants to go to Real San Sebastian. So we need to agree a price with him. Who am I talking to here? Oh, this is talking to Rico Lewis. Talking to the wrong guy. Where is Doyle? There we go. So Doyle, we want a reasonable offer. Reasonable offer. Yeah, that would be reasonable. We're not even going to negotiate there. We're not going to argue. If they give us 17 million, then obviously we'll sell him. So we'll lock it in at 17 million. Take out wage contributions, because a few of those offers before we're trying to sneak in wage contributions as if we're not in League Two. But we'll offer him out for that and see if we get any offers around that kind of value. See, nobody's interested. Well, no, I'm not in a rush to sell him. I'm not going to be upset if Tommy Doyle's still playing for us at the start of next season. Right, we've already sold one defender in the shape of Harwood Bellis. Callum Doyle is on his way as well. At the moment, we've still got Burns and Bete Charles and Katongo, so we don't need to worry just yet. And we have got some contracts expiring, which is another thing to be aware of. That's why Morgan Rogers' transfer value is low. We will offer him a new contract, although to be fair, we're not going to offer him a contract on anywhere near that kind of money. So we might be kind of forced into accepting a low offer for Rogers just to cash in while we can cash in because he's out of contract at the end of the season. I wasn't on top of that at all. Right, these two, yes, will increase their values if that's what you think we should do. And these two need to stay on the transfer list because we want shots of them. Right, we've got an offer for Kane Taylor. We're not selling players for that amount of money. That's just silly. Here is an offer for Callum Doyle. We've just accepted an offer for him, haven't we? We accepted an offer of 9.25 million. Norwich have come in and offered a deal valued at 11.5 million. But is it? So that's like 3 million for his... See, is he going to be playing for them? That's the thing. On it, at a flat transfer, that's like 8.5 million, plus the potential for another 3 million later down the line. and a smaller sell-on. I don't think that's as good a deal. We're going to reject that one and see what happens. Oh, things like this are very handy. £11 million from Pedro Porro being sold to Spurs. £11 million being 30% of his transfer fee. That is huge. And now we've got an offer for Wilson Esbrand, which just seems pathetically low, less than £1 million. We're not even going to negotiate that, but that does put us temporarily, at least, over £100 million on our bank balance. We're not going to stay there for long, but we aren't done selling yet either. So we are accumulating some cash. Well, a load more sales have happened. Callum Doyle has gone to Southampton for £9.25 million. He's been loaned back for the season. No salary to pay there. Daya Mebude has gone to Middlesbrough for £700,000. Morgan Rogers, we cashed in with Huddersfield, £1.5 million for him. A lot less than I would have liked to have sold him for, but he was out of contract at the end of the season and was our highest paid player, so we had to get shot. Rico Lewis has gone to Celtic for £5 million. Again, a little less than I probably would have wanted him to go for, but he does have a 40% sell-on for a player who's likely to be a full England international, so I think there's more money coming in the future as part of that deal. And Liam Delap has left to go to Brentford in a £10 million deal, but has also been loaned back to us for the season with no cost to us for that. So £25 million worth of players out, puts our balance back up above £100 million again, despite the fact we've done another month of debt repayments. The debt is down to 1.3 million. So we've paid off about £300 million off of the debt over the course of the first year. We're still on a big positive on our transfer debt. We also sold Morgan Rogers' instalment clause almost immediately after he left. So we got another £500,000 in there. Finance-wise, our wage spend is now down to £282,000 a week, which is still huge for a League Two club. We are still actively looking to sell. And as you can see, there's still a lot of players who are attracting interest. Sarmiento and Bob and Aguilar, those three definitely need to go. If we can get a sensible offer for Doyle, he'll go as well. The team is still probably good enough for this league. I say probably, it's still definitely good enough for this league. We've still got the majority of the Dream 11, although there's a few players, a few positions now where other players are starting to sneak in. And of course, Doyle and Delap are only here for one more year on loan. So we're probably going to have to start bringing some players up from the youth team. We're down to a squad of 21 players. And the squad planner, if we have a look at what's going on over here, you can see there are a couple of areas where we are a little bit weak. Right back in particular is an area of struggle with Rico Lewis having left the club and Aguilar probably on his way as well. We don't really have another right back. Shay Charles might find himself playing right back for us this season, or we might have to switch the system around and not play a right back. Everywhere else, we've at least got a decent starter. We don't really have any strength in depth at striker, though. Liam Delap, of course, we've got for one more year, but then he's gone. We need another striker to come through. And these wide areas, we're selling more and more wingers all the time. So if Sarmiento and Bob go, we really do start to look a little bit light in the wide areas as well. I'm not sure what system there is we can use that involves no right back and no wingers. We'll figure it out. That feels like a problem for future Kev. Let's keep selling players because at the moment, our projection still says we're going to end the season on more than negative 100 million. And I am still concerned that that might lead to administration and points deductions. I know I keep going on about it, but we want to get promoted this year. And that's going to be tough if we have to take a points deduction. First sign of the confirmation that the club is unable to be bought by anybody. I know I've mentioned it earlier in the series, but we have our elections coming up in October. Robert Pittman looking to be re-elected. I hope he is, because he's put like £80 million into the club over the last year. If we lose him, that's potentially problematic. Also potentially problematic, Tommy Doyle is on his way out of the club. We've accepted a £17 million offer from Bournemouth, so he should be signing for them. And Carlos Borges, who's out of contract at the end of the season, we've had to accept a low offer for him as well. So couple more players leaving. Have we got any more clauses we can cash in? We sell every clause. The moment we can see it, we sell clauses because we're just trying to accumulate as much cash as possible. The bigger that cushion becomes, another month has happened, another 30 million gone. The bigger that cushion becomes, the less likely we are to get a points deduction. is the theory. Let's wait and see Doyle leave. This is miserable. What a sad summer. It's a wonderful summer. What a time to be alive. Pure happiness. Tommy Doyle has rejected Bournemouth. They offered £17 million for him, and he's turned it down. Should probably make him captain, really. I mean, in the long run, it's not ideal at all. We do need to sell him, but in the short term, he's pretty much the only one who's not walked out this summer. Sarmiento won't go, but all of the other big value, high paid players are gone. I know 2 of them are back on loan. Doyle is the only one who's still here. And nice to see he wants to be here as well, even though I've promised we'll sell him. What a weird thing. So I've promised we'll sell him. We accepted an offer and he turned it down. Presumably they just didn't offer him enough money, which really demonstrates just how much we're still overpaying for players, although it's only Aguilar now over 20,000. I mean, these two are 2 we're absolutely desperate to sell. And then Doyle is the next highest earner. And then there's nobody else at the club on more than £10,000 a week. So we are doing good work trimming this wage budget constantly. But yeah, that's a bit of a surprise that he's turned that move down. Well, Borge has gone, as has Kieran Slicker as well. It puts us on the first day of the new season at £25.5 million raised this summer, although actually that's not strictly true because we also did 23 million before the season ticked over. So nearly 50 million pounds of a player sold this summer. I mean, it's not too shabby. We've got 84 million pounds in the bank, which with our monthly payments at about 23 million means we should at least get till Christmas before we drop below 0, which means we're not going to get a points deduction before then. Then on top of that, we've still got Tommy Doyle to sell. We still have him as a saleable asset. I mean, potentially someone might come in for Sarmiento at some point. And then some of these other guys, if they play well, play regularly, might increase in value as well and help us find a way to survive to the end of the season. The goal of this transfer window was get us to the point where we could survive until the next transfer window. I think we've done that. And then future Kev is just going to have to worry about what comes next from there. You can see everyone who's out of contract at the end of the season is on the transfer list. They all want pay rises. So no one's getting a pay rise. I feel like I shouldn't have to explain the club situation to them. So this is where we are currently. And that's what the team looks like for the first day of the new season, which will be tomorrow's video. A couple of faces there that weren't really featuring last year. Lakile Samuel is a 17-year-old centre-back who can also play right-back. He's come into the first team squad because of our distinct lack of right-backs. Obviously, we've got Aguilar, but he's not fully fit. Shea Charles has been injured, so Samuel is going to play the first game of the season. And then also Kane Taylor, who came into the first team squad towards the end of last season, never actually played, but we have had a little bit of interest from him this summer. He's got 5 stars of potential at 18 years old, so he is in as well. The wide players are starting to look less of a strength than they were previously, but at least now we're in the Football League, we can have 7 substitutions, so or 7 substitutes. So we get to put players like this guy, Justin Owabrodu, on the bench, who's 16 years old, probably isn't going to come on unless we're 3-0 up and we want to see what he's like. But it's handy to be able to have him on the bench now. So hopefully a little bit more player development to come from there. But that all comes tomorrow. I suspect, even with all the players we've sold, we should still be good enough to win the league and get promoted again. We kind of need to. The goal is to get back up these leagues as quickly as possible because, as I mentioned an episode or 2 ago, the quickest way to clear this debt is to get ourselves back into the Premier League and get that Premier League money to help us clear the debt with. So we want the promotions. We need to avoid the administrations. I think we should be fine. We'll find out for sure tomorrow. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.